as your host for tonight's special gala program and award ceremony. We thank our development committee, our board of directors, and each and every one of you here tonight. You've earned our deepest gratitude for your generous support. We're especially grateful to our past honorees and, of course, this year's terrific slate of honorees, John, Margot, Andrea, and John Jr. Castamatidis, and Red Apple Group, New York State Controller Tom DiNapoli, and U.S. Bank Executive Vice President Sal Maglietta. You will hear more about each of our honorees later this evening. By the way, if you look at your screen, you will see tonight's hashtag. It's not up there yet. Almost. There we go. All right, JCRC-NY Gala 17. Please include it on your social media posts. Thank you. I know you're all dying to do that. Though I've served as a board member for only a few years, JCRC has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. JCRC was a constant topic of conversation at my dinner table. My mom, Janice Weinman Shorenstein, who proudly served as who proudly served as president of this wonderful organization, would speak of its broad outreach to communities across the 5 boroughs, its life-changing missions to Israel, and more. To this day, my mother still speaks of her involvement with JCRC as one of her most rewarding personal experiences, and now I understand why. More than ever, we need an organization like this, which represents the broad spectrum of the Jewish community across New York, and which proactively advocates for and ensures our rights, interests, and values. JCRC is privileged to have had wonderful leadership over its 40-plus years. Several past presidents are with us this evening. Will you please stand so that we can give you a well-deserved round of applause? Stepping into their shoes is our current wonderful president. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Charles Temmel.
Marissa, thank you. Good evening. You know, to paraphrase a very good friend of mine who's really an outstanding speaker, when he got up here a couple of years ago and said good evening, he expected a rousing good evening back. So let's try that again. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. My name's Charlie Temmel, and I'm pleased to serve, and very proud to serve, as the current president of the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York. My involvement with the JCRC started about 30 years ago, and I've watched this organization grow and develop and really be led by very talented individuals. Right now, our organization is led by Rabbi Michael Miller, who leads a very, very talented group of people. Michael, thank you for everything that you do. In addition to the JCRC Gala tonight on March 29th, this is a very special day for me. On March 29th, 1963, my parents brought us from Colombia to the United States. For my parents, it was the conclusion of a long exodus that started in Europe many years before. For me, it was probably one of the best decisions that they ever made. So as we get ready to celebrate Passover in 2 weeks, I'm always reminded that we as a people celebrate our exodus from Egypt, but each one of us has our own exodus, our own personal journey that ought to be celebrated, and I'm very glad to be able to share mine with all of you tonight. Last week, we had a meeting of the past presidents of the JCRC, and it was very humbling for me to be in the room with them. In the course of the conversation, we talked about the role of the JCRC and what its role should be today. They gave me the perspectives on how they dealt with things and the issues that came up in their time. And they basically talked about the things that are important. And so I thought I would highlight for you some of the important things that are being done today. But the important things that we do couldn't be done without the help of our community, and especially our parent organization, UJA Federation of New York, which is celebrating its 100th year of service to the Jewish community and the New York community. But tonight's event is also successful because of you. And we're particularly thankful to the support of our honorees. Tom DiNapoli, New York State Comptroller, a terrific public servant. Tom, you are the gold standard by which public officials should be measured. We are grateful to Sal Maglietta and U.S. Bancorp, really one of the best banks in America. Sal is an outstanding community leader. He just stepped down as head of the Greater New York YMCA, and that is a tremendous responsibility. That's a tremendous number of people to lead in a tremendous organization. Sal, thank you for what you do. And we're grateful to the Katsimatidis family. John, Margot, Andrea, John Jr. What a family. If there ever... As I've gotten to know John and his personal journey, starting in what was Turkey, now became Greece, then became the United States, it's a remarkable journey of an individual and a family that has not only succeeded in New York, but has never forgotten all the people around them, and in so many ways that I couldn't even mention, are serving the community and helping people all over New York. To the whole Katsimatidis family, thank you so much. As Marissa said moments ago, more than ever, we need the JCRC. We're an advocate for the Jewish community of New York, but we're also an advocate for all of New York, and that's why you see in our logo, simply stated, uniting communities. There are 4 pillars on which the JCRC stands. Our public policy and Jewish security program has made the JCRC the go-to destination for any Jewish agency needing help in security and security planning. We provide security assistance and emergency planning, which have become especially important with bomb threats, with synagogues getting marked with swastikas, with cemeteries being desecrated, and all the increase in anti-Semitic activity. So what we do went from becoming important to now becoming critical. Our second is intergroup relations, and it builds bridges between all of the communities of New York. Our most recent program was titled Facing Hate and Prejudice in New York. We had over 100 individuals representing all the communities in New York, and that's the word you're going to hear a lot, the word communities, because New York is really made up of all sorts of communities. But we had 120 people there representing the African American community, the Latino community, LGBT, Muslim community, Jewish community, all talking about what hate and prejudice is doing to their communities and how do we together learn from each other how to confront those situations, talking about how we do it, how other groups do it, and the importance of, most of all, of establishing in the ether, if you will, a feeling that this behavior will not be tolerated. Third, the JCRC's Commission on Israel and International Affairs is just that. We are known for having led many missions to Israel for public officials so they can see Israel for what it is, a vibrant, open, free democracy, a wonderful place where lots of people express their opinions, where they can walk safely down the streets of Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or even Eilat, Beersheba, my favorite. But they see Israel for what it is. In our latest project, which is our faculty initiative, takes senior faculty members from universities to Israel. Why do we take faculty members when you're dealing with BDS? Because kids are going to come and go. The culture of a university changes every couple of years as the students come and go. But the faculty, particularly tenured faculty, stay forever. In addressing BDS through the faculty, we have found to be very, very effective. And then the fourth pillar is our intercommunal affairs. And the biggest thing we do in intercommunal affairs, among many things, is the Celebrate Israel Parade. So I want all of you to mark your calendars for June 4th, right outside on 5th Avenue. It is the biggest pro-Israel, biggest Jewish affair you'll see around the world. We get every flavor of Jew in New York participating in the parade. So I encourage you and ask you all to come. So right now, to give more detail and more meat to what I've just talked about to JCRC, I call your attention to the video that's going to come up right now and tell you more about what we do. Thank you very much. To me, it's special because it makes New York a better place for all of us.
Professionalism, caring, and leadership.
JCRC is the connector to take the Jewish community, all other faith-based communities, the broader New York City, New York State community, and bring everyone together.
I think the Jewish community should be very proud to have a group such as the JCRC.
The JCRC is the umbrella organization in New York for the organized Jewish community to protect and defend the presence of the community and its future.
JCRC provides opportunities for Jews of different stripes from different communities, different backgrounds with different philosophies, even theologies, to be able to meet one another and understand one another better, which is always a good thing.
JCRC is a conduit to not only reach into the Jewish community, but also to reach other communities. We are working together, and we have to continue to do that.
JCRC is really the convening organization for leadership in New York City. And I think the more time that people put in with JCRC, the more they get out.
YouthBridge is an extraordinary program which brings high school juniors and seniors together, and they celebrate diversity and they learn to work with one another despite their differences, and being trained in leadership and public speaking as well as in philanthropy.
It has been a pleasure to see thousands of people to be brought out by JCRC and uniting the whole Jewish community under that Celebrate Israel parade.
UJA Federation of New York is incredibly proud to support the JCRC's work, including its missions to Israel. These missions take political and elected officials, non-Jewish religious and ethnic leaders are really important in having a real impact in changing the communal discourse around Israel, because people get to sense it, feel it, and experience it.
When I meet leaders in New York, they tell me that the mission to Israel that we're part of with JCRC changed completely their perspective of Israel. They became Israel advocates. You cannot exaggerate the value of those missions.
I think the Faculty Engagement Initiative of the JCRC brought a new insight into the way I think about the country, into the way I see Israel in the Middle East, and to the way I impart that to the graduate students and the professionals that I'm teaching.
The Congressional Breakfast is an annual event. In fact, it's our signature event. And we invite the downstate congressional delegation to come to this event and to address those in attendance.
JCRC helped us really mobilize Russian Jewish vote to be counted, to be noticed. Being able to vote actually is a huge privilege and honor.
We've been able to provide assistance to others on being prepared for any emergency. We serve as the unofficial liaison to the New York Police Department, to the FBI, and other law enforcement agencies.
We could get recommendations from NYPD to make facilities more secure, but seeing what grants were available and give us guidance, the JCRC was invaluable.
What we've realized and learned over the years is the more we know each other and the more we all work together, the better relationship it is for us. That's better for the Jewish community and also better for all of New Yorkers. What we're talking about is how people live together. And I think that's what makes the JCRC unique, and that's what makes the JCRC very special.
Good evening. My name is Brian Cohen. I'm a member of the JCRC New York's Board of Directors and co-chair along with Marissa Shorenstein of our Development Committee. We just learned about some incredible work done by the JCRC, and I'd like to share my own personal story with all of you about how I became involved. Almost 20 years, when I first started practicing law here in New York City, I was looking to take on a pro bono client. A friend of mine introduced me to JCRC's general counsel, Marcia Eisenberg, and Marcia is a fantastic professional. And Marcia and I began working together, along with David Pollack and other members of the JCRC staff, through the Legal Assistance for Jewish Organizations program. To this day, the Legal Assistance for Jewish Organizations provides free legal assistance to Jewish nonprofits and synagogues to ensure their legal and financial health. One of the projects I helped spearhead, along with Marcia and her team, was concerning the closure of the Mashlu Jewish Center in the North Bronx. What was once a very vibrant and active synagogue was now subject to the effects of Jewish migration out of the Bronx, and the remaining community members were looking to sell their property. It took over a year for the organization for the synagogue to find an appropriate buyer, and a tremendous amount of time and effort to find new homes for the many sacred objects. But through our facilitation of the sale, we were able to help the Mashlu Jewish Center distribute the funds from the sale to many other very needy Jewish and community organizations in the North Bronx, and also to set up a small and very important fund for their dedicated rabbi of over 52 years, Rabbi Herschel Schachter. And Rabbi Herschel Schachter is quite well known, among many things, for being the rabbi who helped liberate the concentration camp in Buchenwald. It was this experience with the JCRC where I learned how important this organization is in coordinating the external affairs of our community and what amazing professionals run this organization. I could not be more proud than I am today, standing in front of you as a member of the board. It is truly wonderful to see all of you in the room today. We at the JCRC appreciate your generous support, and we look forward to sharing the rest of this great evening with you together. Right now, it is my pleasure to introduce our first guest, a very close friend of the JCRC since he arrived here this past August. As Consul General of Israel in New York, Ambassador Danny Dayan represents the State of Israel to communities throughout New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Delaware. He was born in Buenos Aires. He is a fluent Spanish speaker, and Ambassador Dayan has made it a priority to reach out to the Latino and Spanish-speaking communities, which is a goal that's shared by the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York. It is my honor to introduce the ambassador to bring greetings from the State of Israel, and we welcome our dear friend, Ambassador Danny Dayan.
Thank you so much. Since it's the second or third time you introduced me, I think we should start doing bar mitzvahs and together. I'm very proud, very honored, and especially very happy to be here. And I want to say a few personal things about a few persons I met here in New York and came to admire very quickly. The first one is my friend, the president of the JCRC of New York, Charlie Temmel. His leadership, the way he acts representing the Jewish community to other communities in the city. And I must admit we have a common hobby, and that is to surprise Latinos in this city when two Ashkenazi-looking Jews start speaking fluent Spanish with them. Their faces are memorable when they are surprised. And then Michael Miller. Well, you know, Michael was the first person I met in New York City. And it was not a coincidence. I asked my chief of staff, Francine Raub-Vogel, that I'm sure many of you know, and without her, I think New York doesn't function. I asked for Michael to be my first meeting in New York City. The reason was double. The first one is that one of my predecessors told me that Michael Miller is one of, I will say it in Hebrew first, Lamed Vav Tzadikim, one of the 36 secret righteous people in the Jewish world that make this world what it is. And he was right. And the second reason is, I brought with me in my luggage my do-it-yourself tools because I thought that the first month I will have to build bridges. But immediately I understood that those bridges that I intended to build were already built by the JCRC and by Michael. Bridges over troubled waters. And all I had to do is to start walking over those bridges and reaching out to the communities, of the diverse communities of this city. And I must also say that what struck me immediately after meeting different communities in New York is the incredible impact of the JCRC missions to Israel, the incredible difference that they make, the incredible impact that they do in the support for the state of Israel in this city, in this state, in this region. Thank you, Michael, for all of that. And then I would like to congratulate the recipients of the awards. My friend Tom DiNapoli, with whom I had the great honor to celebrate at the last Shabbos in Albany, in all places. And, Tom, when I heard people speaking about you, and not in front of you, that half of those meetings were gossip. And when I heard people talking about you as a public servant, as a leader, I think you are one of the 36 Italian righteous people. And Katsimatidis family, that was my greatest challenge today, to say the word, I hope. John, as Consul General of Israel, and as a public figure also in Israel, I traveled a lot. I am used to give interviews to many media outlets. So when I started our chat in your radio talk show, I suddenly understood this guy is both a broadcaster and pro-Israel? I never saw something like that. That was a real pleasant surprise. And finally, Sam, we didn't meet. I must admit, the third recipient, we didn't meet yet. But I must say that if an organization gives an award to the banker, either is in a very good shape or in a disparate shape. I hope that JCRC is in a very good shape. And last but not least, I would like to mention a person I admire and I met many, many, many years ago before I met most of you. And that is Mayor David Dinkins. Obviously, you don't remember Mayor, but I was in your office as part to show you how long ago it was. It was when I was in a delegation of young leaders from Israel, and you were gracious enough to receive us. And I must say that since then I look at you, and since then I lost all my hair, and you look exactly the same. And thank you for your friendship for Israel, and thank you so much to all of you for the support of this great organization that is the JCRC.
Thank you. UJ Federation is fortunate to have an incomparable leadership team led by its CEO, Eric Goldstein, who is here to offer greetings this evening. Before being appointed to UJA Federation's leadership team in 2014, Eric served in a number of senior lay positions while working as a partner at Paul Weiss. JCRC is privileged to have the generous support of UJA Federation and a proud partner agency. Please welcome a great leader and a great friend to us, Eric Goldstein.
Thank you, Marissa. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here representing UJA Federation of New York. We're incredibly proud to be the JCRC's largest financial supporter, particularly in these times. Having an organization that does what JCRC does every day is ever more important. Under the incredible leadership of Michael Miller and Charlie Temmel, we as a community are deeply indebted to them, and UJA is very proud to be a part of what they do. Charlie mentioned one of the programs. We do many things with JCRC. I think we all recognize that today combating BDS is among our most significant challenges, and we are incredibly proud of the work we're doing, particularly bringing faculty. We have Shachar Sadeh in the room. She is a Columbia University professor of earth sciences who now is a full-time coordinator. To date, we have sent over 60 faculty members from 10 New York City campuses to Israel, and they come back profoundly changed. So we're grateful to Shachar Sadeh and all of us for this wonderful program. UJA is celebrating our centennial, as Charlie mentioned. And for 100 years, our mission has been to protect the Jewish people, secure its Jewish future, to promote communal and Jewish unity, and to care for the most vulnerable in our community, whatever their backgrounds. JCRC is an incredibly important partner in that work, and we look forward to continuing to do that work with JCRC for many, many future years together. Thanks very much.
Good evening, everybody. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm Michael Miller. And I'm proud to serve as the Executive Vice President and CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York. And first, I want to thank all of you for the support that you have provided to our organization, and most especially to all of our honorees. I am here to introduce one of those honorees. And I'd like to bring to your attention a saying from the rabbinic sages dating back about 2,000 years. In Pirkei Avot, in Ethics of the Fathers, it is written, "Provide for yourself a teacher and acquire for yourself a friend." In Tom DiNapoli, we have both an individual from whom we have learned much and with whom we have developed a particular closeness. Tom has and continues to school us as a paradigm of integrity, as you heard from Charlie. His conduct as an assembly member for 21 years and as comptroller these past 10 years, and let me one-up Charlie, has set a platinum standard, a very, very high bar for honesty and transparency. Most especially his stewardship as sole trustee of the state pension fund has been exceptional and professional. Tom has been and continues to be a man of the people of New York with his Long Island roots and an unflagging advocate for the people of New York with his determined dedication to guarding state funds and ensuring governmental accountability. For that alone, Tom, you've earned JCRC's Public Service Award. Ultimately, though, Tom has been, as I said before, a cherished friend, a friend upon whom one can reassuredly depend. So how do we know this? Very simple. Tom has been there for us in the Jewish community time and again. He's been like family, like mishpacha. Maybe the name originally was De Planowitz or something, I don't know. Tom's support for Israel, I'd put up against any Jewish public official. As this photo collage can attest, Tom, take a look. Tom has been to Israel several times as an assembly member on JCRC missions, traveling from the Syrian-Lebanese border on the north to Sderot on the Gaza border on the south, with Tel Aviv and Jerusalem at the center of the country and the Western Wall at its heart. As controller, we traveled to Israel together just a year and a half ago with his chief investment officer and her associate. Tom's formidable stance and actions against the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, you've heard about BDS, were well known then by the leadership of the country, let alone the $500 million the pension fund invests in Israel, including $160 million in Israel bonds, the most of any state in the Union. On that trip, we met with Prime Minister Netanyahu, we met with the governor of the Bank of Israel, the chairman of the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, the chief economist, the mayor of Jerusalem, among many others. But back home in New York, Tom has also been there with us. He's marched with us annually in the Celebrate Israel parade up Fifth Avenue, and in the freezing cold of winter and the heat of summer, as we stood in solidarity with Israel, Tom has stood with us at rallies upon rallies that were organized by JCRC, including rallies organized to target Iran for its horrible human rights record, let alone its nuclear pursuits. And Tom raised his strong voice, his resolute voice, in support of Israel. And speaking of Iran, Tom has also been a leader in the nation in the effort to divest common retirement funds from Iranian-linked companies and more. Bottom line, we have no better friend in public life than Tom DiNapoli. And that despite all that he has done and accomplished, he's still a warm and self-effacing guy. I'll conclude with a story. There's a story which is told of a man who approached his Hasidic rabbi and quoted from the sages. The quote is as follows: "A person who pursues honor, honor flees from him. And a person who flees from honor, honor pursues him." So the man said to the rabbi, "I myself flee from honor, so why doesn't it pursue me?" And the rabbi responded, "The reason is that when you flee from honor, you keep on looking back to see if it's behind you." Tom DiNapoli doesn't look backward. He's a true forward looker, thinker, and doer, and is so very deserving of JCRC's Public Service Award. Ladies and gentlemen, please clap your hands, give an applause, a shout out to Tom DiNapoli as he steps forward to receive JCRC's Public Service Award, our teacher and our friend, Tom DiNapoli. Before we start. Over here or over there? Marissa, Brian, do this a lot.
He's taking a video, so we're good. Okay. Wow. How do I live up to that introduction? I don't think I can.
And I'm glad I wrote down my remarks because I couldn't respond if I hadn't thought it through. Michael, really means a lot for you to introduce me in that way. I was going to thank you for your generous words without knowing what they were going to be. And now it doesn't seem adequate to just say thank you. More than just your words, though, your friendship going back these many years is something I value more than I can express. When I got the call that I was going to receive this honor, I really was very, very humbled and very honored. And the JCRC team said, who would you like to have it present to you? And I said, well, you know what? When I think of JCRC and the person who I have the strongest connection with, it's Michael Miller. And if he'd be willing to do that with everything else he's got to do this evening, it would really mean a lot to me. And Michael, your words have touched me more than I could really express. So friend to friend, thank you, thank you, thank you. And as we all have acknowledged and will continue to acknowledge, your extraordinary leadership as the Executive Vice President and CEO of JCRC really makes such a big difference for all of us, and we thank you for that. My thanks as well to your great president, Charlie Temmel. I still like calling you Charles, but everybody else is calling you Charlie, so we'll go with that. And to you, you've been also a great friend, great leadership as head of the board, a very distinguished board that JCRC always has, and my gratitude to everyone who makes this organization work. To Marissa Shorenstein and Brian Cohen as our co-hosts and our development chairs, to everyone involved with the JCRC staff, it's really been a pleasure to work with you on behalf of this gala. And it was wonderful to have my dear friend, and I think one of our unsung heroes in the larger community, Jerry Lippman, do that motzi. And Jerry, you did a great job, I have to say. It's also humbling to hear the great words of friendship from Ambassador Danny Dayan. We are crossing paths all the time lately. He keeps a pretty busy schedule. He hasn't been in our midst for too many months, but I think he's off to a great, great start as the Consul General in New York for the State of Israel. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for everything you're doing. And I agree with you. I'm getting older too, and Mayor Dinkins looks as good as ever. And talk about the heart of New York, it's David Dinkins. Give the mayor a round of applause again as well. Obviously, part of what's humbling about receiving this honor, not just because it comes from JCRC, but when you see the roster of the co-honorees, I truly don't feel as deserving. Sal Miglietta, who I just got to meet this evening, but certainly have heard so much about, a great corporate leader, and certainly U.S. Bank, a great corporate citizen in our city, in our state. Give Sal and his team a round of applause again for their honor. And the Katzimatidis family, to John and Margot and Andrea and John Jr. Talk about a first family that represents all things good about our city and our state. I can't think of a more generous and giving and caring family than the Katzimatidis family. Right? I think it's true. We should all applaud that. I've gotten to know John so well over the years. He gives good advice. I follow it sometimes. But more importantly, if there is a needy cause in our city, if there is an organization in need, you call John Katzimatidis, and he will be there to help you. And he really is an extraordinary philanthropist and business leader. John, thank you for everything you do. Well, it's very, very clear that the mission of JCRC is as relevant and necessary as it has ever been. Whether it's advocating for the rights and interests of New York's Jewish community or working to strengthen the metropolitan area by bringing people of all backgrounds and all faiths together, JCRC New York is a critical voice of humanity and compassion and a leading catalyst for positive change. We all know it. We are living in challenging times. Divisions abound. We're witnessing rising numbers of anti-Semitic incidents, from the desecration of Jewish cemeteries to threats against Jewish institutions. We need to redouble our vigilance and our partnership to ensure the rights, safety, and the well-being of the Jewish community and of all people here in New York and across America. JCRC's constant efforts to build community and coalition are a key ingredient of the New York response to all incidents of hate, racism, and group prejudice. We all must speak with one voice against anti-Semitism, bigotry, and hatred wherever we see it and whatever form it takes. This is not only a time for vigilance and resolve here at home, but it's also a time to further strengthen our bonds with our closest ally and friend, the State of Israel. From my perspective, one of the best ways to strengthen Israel is to fortify its economy. And that's why I'm very, very proud of the efforts of our New York State Pension Fund to play a role in that effort. As trustee of the fund, and you've heard it in the introduction, I am continuing our very significant holdings in Israeli companies through both private equity and public equity investments. And I am very proud of the fact that we are the state that continues to lead the way in our purchase of State of Israel bonds. Stu Garowitz is here. He'll take your card on the way out if you're interested. It is a safe and sound investment. Our investments in Israel have a double bottom line value. These investments do well for our fund, and that's my goal as a fiduciary. We get positive returns from these investments, but they also do good by strengthening our connection to Israel and the Israeli people. And that's why I will continue to push back against the BDS movement. An attempt to harm Israel's economy is wrong from a moral perspective, and it would put our investments at risk. From my point of view, the strongest response to the BDS campaign is not just condemnation, as important as that is, but it is also important to respond by being an active investor in Israel and to build upon the historic bond between Israel and New York. Michael mentioned the last trip I took to Israel. It actually was my third one with Michael. And I went there, not just because I hadn't been there for a few years, but I really wanted to make a clear statement by my presence as an investor, as trustee for the third largest public pension fund in the country, that we reject the BDS movement and we are going to continue to invest in Israel. The value of that trip is that I got to see, once again, firsthand and up close, the entrepreneurial spirit of Israeli startups, especially in the high-tech, medical research, and cybersecurity fields that present very attractive opportunities for investors like us. And, as you've also heard, we've put companies engaged in BDS activities on notice that there will be consequences if their anti-Israel activities expose our investments to financial harm. So rest assured, as New York State Controller, I will continue to stand with Israel by investing in Israel. And I will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with JCRC-New York in your efforts to bring people together here in New York, in Israel, and around the world as a force for good. Again, my very, very sincere thanks to JCRC for this award, for all that you do to fortify this city and our state. And my thanks to each and every one of you for supporting the 2017 Gala, and most importantly, supporting the vital work of JCRC-New York. Thank you all so much.
Our next award will be presented by Bob Joyce, a close colleague of the honoree. Bob is Senior Vice President and Division Head of U.S. Bank Healthcare. He leads a national team that provides a full range of corporate banking products for large hospital systems, health insurance, payers, pharmaceuticals, medical device manufacturers, and other healthcare service providers and distributors. To present the Community Partner Award to Sal Maglietta, please welcome Bob Joyce.
Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to announce the next award recipient, Sal Maglietta, Executive Vice President on behalf of U.S. Bank. Sal has been with the bank 12 years, overseeing several major specialized finance businesses, including leveraged lending, asset-based lending, equipment finance, dealer finance, and vendor finance. Sal has spent over 35 years in banking, managing businesses in specialized industries, investment banking, private banking, security servicing, corporate trust, securitization, treasury management, project finance. Sal, is there any business in banking you have not run? Sal is New York born and raised, received an MBA from Pace University and a bachelor's degree in accounting from Manhattan College. He's married to his lovely wife, Laura. Laura and his daughter, Kim, are here at our table tonight. Sal has been involved in countless charitable organizations over the years in the New York metropolitan area. In his local community in Westchester County, he served as president on the Briarcliff Manor School District Board. Boy, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in one of those board meetings of a school district. Sal most recently served on the board of the YMCA of Greater New York from 2008 to 2016, and was chairman of this prestigious community organization for 3 years. On a personal level, Sal has been an invaluable mentor to me the past 10 years I have been at U.S. Bank. I had the pleasure of working for him the first 7 years, and he not only made me a better leader, but he made me a better person. Now, there's a lot of words to describe Sal, but when I think of Sal, I think of 3 things that describe how Sal gets things done. Number 1, Sal is a change agent, by any means. Sal is fully engaged in all aspects of the business. And when I say that, he brings out full engagement from a completely diverse set of constituents that work for him. And finally, he leads by example. In my mind, these are 3 attributes that are most important in any leader and what makes him successful in everything he does, including all the community service that Sal has been involved with. U.S. Bank has a long history of providing community service to the countless communities we serve, dating back to our founding in 1863. We are a strong and trusted banking partner. We were named Most Admired Super Regional Bank for 6 years in a row by Fortune, and a World's Most Ethical Company for the 3rd year in a row by the Ethisphere Institute. U.S. Bank appreciates the partnership with the JCRC of New York, which is widely recognized for its important work within and beyond its more than 60 constituent organizations. JCRC develops leaders capable of encouraging diversity and overcoming crisis, and builds bridges that establishes working relationships within the Jewish community, with other ethnic and faith organizations, and with high-level public and elected officials and government agencies. So it is with my pleasure and my honor to present the Community Partner Award to Sal Maglietta, who will receive the award on behalf of U.S. Bank in recognition of your deep and invaluable dedication to community development and social responsibility.
Well, I need a little lip at the bottom here so my paper stays up there. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. And first, Bob, thank you. It is especially nice when someone you respect and enjoy their friendship can say those kind words about you. Bob, your friendship is valued and forever. Thank you. I'm going to go, I had a script, but I'm going to go off script, and many of the people who are here tonight who know me know I usually go off script. So I didn't realize tonight was going to be a bucket list item for me. And the bucket list item has nothing to do with the JCRC. I always wanted to be honored at the Pierre Hotel. And actually, to make it memorable, my wife, who's here tonight, have taken the honeymoon suites. Okay, so enough of my off-script remarks, and we'll go back on script. First, I want to acknowledge and congratulate the other honorees for their service and support of the JCRC. You know, I pale in your light, and I am honored to be recognized alongside of both the, I'm going to get this wrong, and I apologize, the Casamedidis family and Mr. DiNapoli. You are terrific people, and you should be quite proud of everything you do. And it's an honor just to be recognized alongside of you. Second, I want to thank the many of my friends and colleagues who are here tonight to support this outstanding organization. And I also want to recognize Charlie and Michael, whose leadership and day-to-day efforts make this organization really tick. I also want to recognize Marcy, who I don't know where she is in the room, but I think without Marcy, none of us would have been here tonight. So thank you, Marcy, for all of you, what you do. So on behalf of U.S. Bank, who I am proud to accept this award on behalf of, I want to thank the JCRC for recognizing U.S. Bank as a community partner. U.S. Bank knows that being a community partner is important for everyone, but most important for the people it serves in our communities. That's where it counts. That's where the rubber meets the road. And also, U.S. Bank appreciates the fact that community involvement and partnering with an organization like the JCRC is core to our values, our culture, and our strategy. And so, again, Michael, thank you. I'm going to go off script a little bit again. So when I met Michael for the first time, and you'll enjoy this, because you all appreciate 6 degrees of separation, right? So I'm meeting Michael for the first time, and I said, you know, Michael, my wife and I have been longtime supporters and involved with WJCS, which is the Westchester Jewish Community Services. And he said to me, he said, well, how are you involved with this organization? I said, well, very dear and close friends of Laura and I, Jan and Dave Fisher, have gotten us involved. And he said, I went to Dave and Jan's wedding, like how many years ago? So it is, only in New York do you get these 6 degrees of separation, and it's just wonderful to get to know Michael on a more personal level. But first we must recognize what JCRC's actions do. They strengthen and build bridges within our New York community. And it's focused on all faiths, which I think is most critical, because it's about everybody. Because if it isn't about everybody, it's about nobody. Their mission and activities unite our communities in ways that cause our communities to be better than what they are today. And that's what is essential to all of us. I want to talk about 2 things that are personal to me. And I'm not sure how it particularly fits into everything that the JCRC does, But one of the things that I think is the most vital thing about strengthening our communities and making each person's life better is the continued focus and investment in education. Education is the only thing that advances society. And I know with my involvement with the Jewish community, charitable organizations, education is at its paramount. And that is something we must have at the forefront all the time, because education allows for enlightenment. And that gets me to my second most important concern personally. One of the pillars of the JCRC is public policy and Jewish security. And I can't pick an item in my mind that is more important today than it has been in a number of years. We are living in a current environment that is divisive and that has unleashed and allowed for hatred, whatever form it takes, to be set upon people. And that is something we, not as organizations, but we as individuals, cannot tolerate. We all have to be vigilant. Whenever we see it, we must call it out. Whenever we see it, we must try to stop it. Whenever we see someone who's injured, we must help them. This is so important, and I applaud the JCRC for putting so much emphasis on this, because we all know in recent days some of the terrible events that have happened at Jewish cemeteries and synagogues. It's unacceptable and cannot be allowed. We must all deal with this. U.S. Bank is also a friend with the UJA, and we are blessed to have this opportunity to partner with you now, the JCRC. And I look forward, both on behalf of U.S. Bank and personally, to continue to be involved with your organization, to support it, both from the heart and financially, always important. And Charlie invited my wife and I, and I'm going to drag all of my kids, to the June 4th March for Israel Day. I hope to see you all there, because I'll be there. And again, we're honored to receive this very important distinction, and I'm humbled by it, and thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Michael, thank you again. And Jan and Dave said hello.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Presenting our final award this evening is Rabbi Arthur Schneier. For the last 55 years, Rabbi Arthur Schneier has been the senior rabbi of the Park East Synagogue. He is known internationally for his interfaith activities on behalf of religious freedom, human rights, and tolerance. As a founder and president of the Appeal of Conscience Foundation, he was the first rabbi to be awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal from President Clinton for his service as an international envoy for 4 administrations and as a Holocaust survivor, devoting a lifetime to overcoming forces of hatred and intolerance. He is also a close friend of John Katzimatidis, Margot, and their family, and he is proud to be their rabbi and their friend. Please welcome Rabbi Arthur Schneier.
I'm honored to represent the united voice of the New York Jewish community. And I stress, united voice of the New York Jewish community. In a way, it's a unique organization, JCR. And I'm not surprised about your CEO, Rabbi Michael Miller. Many of you may not know this, but his father, Israel Miller, was one of the leaders of the American Jewish community. So Lador Bador, from generation to generation. And Charlie, we share something in common. Your parents are Holocaust survivors. I'm a Holocaust survivor. And we just had a meeting at Park East Synagogue arranged by Congresswoman Maloney, facing the challenges we're facing today in terms of security and safety of Jewish institutions. Yes, in our land, in our city. So say with me, thank you, JCR. Let me hear it. And I want to thank the leadership and all the board members for your magnificent work. Thank you. Now, you may wonder, how come a rabbi is going to make the presentation to a very, very distinguished American, son of Greek immigrants? What's the relationship? Well, let me tell you. As you've heard, the Appeal of Conscience Foundation is an interfaith foundation dealing with human rights, religious freedom, globally. The Archdiocese of the Greek Orthodox Church and the Archbishop, trustee, and then when it came to designate someone to represent the Greek Orthodox Church, who was designated? John Katsamatidis. And that started a friendship of over a quarter century, working together. How many of you have ever been to a Greek festival? Well, let me teach you one word. I've attended many of them. And that is, when you honor someone who deserves to be honored, and there are many, many at this dinner, Mayor Dinkins, Tom DiNapoli, the very able Ambassador Danny Dayan of Israel, who has already touched our hearts and minds. And of course, you heard the praises for a distinguished, sincere, genuine, dedicated servant, Tom DiNapoli, a dear friend, and also the praises of the other honoree, Mr. Valietta. If you go to a Greek function and someone is deserving of honor, you know what the people say? Axios, axios, axios. So, we're honored to have also the Greek Consul General here with us, and the Consul General of Cyprus, incidentally, a very important strategic relationship between Greece, Cyprus, and Israel. We thank you for it. So let me talk about my friend John, son of hard-working Greek immigrants, coming to this land of freedom and opportunity. And if you know John, his entire career is one of paying back for the blessings he enjoyed in our blessed country, the United States of America, and that you and I enjoy. Let's not take it for granted. Land of freedom, land of opportunity. And whatever he does, and the success he achieved, comes from the heart of gratitude. Thank you, O Lord, for bestowing these blessings upon me. John is a man of faith, but also very proud of his roots, of his heritage. Just as we are proud of our Jewish heritage, he is very, very proud of his Greek heritage and shows it. So that's one element, gratitude. That's what John Katsuthmandi is all about. He's blessed to have a partner who's in step with his generosity. And you know, it's very interesting. We just read the biblical portion last week about the architect of the tabernacle, Bezalel. There were many candidates. Why was he selected? Because he had chachma and lev, wisdom and heart. And Rabbi Miller, you cited Pirkei Avot. Ethics of the Fathers also tell you, without a rating on Wall Street, you know what it means to be successful? To have an ayin tova, to be a chaver tov, and to have a lev tov. John has good judgment. You know, good head, a Yiddish cup, but a big heart. And what is so wonderful, he instilled the act of tzedakah, of sharing and giving. He and Margot instilled that spirit into his children, Andrea and John Jr. So we say lador vador, generation to generation, continuity of giving back, of karban todah. Thank you for the blessing. And finally, let me just say, an unforgettable experience. John and I joined the Ecumenical Patriarch, Bartholomew, a dear friend. Elizabeth, my dear wife, joined us. Remember that very famous meeting of Pope Francis in Jerusalem and the Ecumenical Patriarch. An unforgettable trip, because it really was brought about the reconciliation between the Orthodox Church, between Rome and Constantinople. Right with the Ecumenical Patriarch. John was there, taking every bit of air of Avir Yerushalayim into his heart. And this reminds me, and with that I conclude. I took the Ecumenical Patriarch, and John was there, to Yad Vashem. And after he went through it, Archbishop Demetrios, the entire delegation, and I turned to the Patriarch and said, you know, you heard the names of 1.5 million Jewish children. My name could have been one. If not, for a righteous consul general, Karl Lutz of Switzerland, like Wallenberg, who saved Jewish lives in Budapest, Hungary during the Holocaust. So, you have chosen wisely. A man of faith, a man proud of his heritage, a leader of his Greek community, a bridge builder, an investor in Israel, State of Israel bonds, the only non-Jew in Bank HaPoalim. All right? So I could go on, and I'm proud when John comes to my synagogue and says, "My rabbi." I am proud to be not only his rabbi, Margot's rabbi, and the children, and we share so many milestones together. So John, on behalf of a grateful Jewish community, a united voice of the Jewish community, will you step forward with your family and let us all say, Axios, Axios, Axios. Very proud of you, buddy. Really.
I'm honored to be standing on the same podium. It's not a pulpit, but it's close. Do you want to read this?
Yeah, that's what I read, yeah.
It's taking a while to get here.
The citation I'm about to present is a Continuing Legacy Award to John, Margot, Andrea, and John Jr. Catsimatidis. And of course, the Red Apple Group that has done so much in philanthropy. As a civic leader, as a family of tzedakah, presented by the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York, Charlie Temmel, signed, and Michael S. Miller, the Executive Vice President. With our gratitude and appreciation, we love you. Yeah.
Yes, we're going to slide you everybody down a little bit in this direction.
You're awesome. Wait, I got to kiss you. Awesome. Okay. Charlie.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, I'll do the station.
You can Jack, go ahead.
We're staying over there. Okay.
Take the picture. Come on.
Michael?
Let's go. Brother? Thank you. Margot? Yeah.
Andrea, would you speak first?
Good evening. First, I wanted to thank Rabbi Schneier for his wonderful introduction. I'm very proud to call him my rabbi and a friend of our family. Wow. Thank you so much. I feel very moved and honored to be recognized by such an impactful organization. The JCRC's initiatives are near and dear to my family's heart as they strive to promote peace and unity. Personally, I feel a very deep connection to the Jewish community because of the values I was raised with. Family was always first in my household. I think it's important to have an organization that advocates for the Jewish community and for these values. Furthermore, the JCRC could not be more relevant in today's political climate. With so much tension in the Middle East, the JCRC plays a vital role in educating others and encouraging support for Israel in order to promote peace. I want to congratulate the JCRC for so successfully uniting so many different communities to champion these important efforts. I'm so proud to be a supporter of such a valiant organization. Thank you for this wonderful honor.
Say a few words. That was a wonderful speech, Andrea. Thank you very much for having us here. My father is, like my sister said, raised us with many shared values. There's many shared values between Christianity and Judaism, and it's these values that hold this country together. Even I went to a Christian high school, and for my Christian service work, I chose to work every Saturday at the Village Temple Soup Kitchen in downtown. And now that I've graduated and after college, I'll work alongside an organization that works to elect pro-Israel, anti-BDS students to student government to promote Israel. Thank you all for having us, and Dad, if you want.
Wait.
Oh, and my mom. How could we forget my mom?
I just want to say now that my children have spoken, I'm so proud of them. But thank you all for this wonderful award for our family. And we're able to now pass the torch to our children to continue all the great works that my husband has worked so many years to do, and me too, and my husband. So thank you so much.
Anybody have a torch? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Rabbi Schneider, thank you for all your kind words. But not only are you my rabbi, you are also my mentor. When I met Rabbi Schneider 25, 30 years ago, I learned so many things about life, about the world, about learning how to put people together versus breaking them apart. And Rabbi Schneider, thank you publicly for teaching me all of those things. Thank you. The JCRC, when I was asked to be the conduit of helping the community by creating a challenge grant to my friends, well, if I give X, would you guys match it? And that's the purpose of me being here today. Not to get another honor, but to help the community raise a few dollars for all the good work they are doing. I remember being in Jerusalem with Rabbi Schneider, along with a patriarch from Constantinople, and I still call it Constantinople, because my mother was born in Constantinople. And the Pope, Pope Francis, and it's going to be this May will be the 3rd year since we've been there, Rabbi, and I think May 24th is going to be the 50th anniversary of the reunification of Jerusalem. But I represented the Greek Orthodox Church in North America, reporting to the Archbishop in America, also to the Patriarch in Constantinople. And what my mission was, and again, a lot of it, I was in the Greek Orthodox Church, but I got my mentoring from Rabbi Schneider.
No, he's over there, not me.
Rabbi, okay. And I learned a lot about how we put people together, not just in New York, but from all over the world. And my mission continues, and I'll pass it along the torch to my kids, and you guys continue. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But thank you again for tonight, and I'm always here for whatever the community needs, and if we all work together, we're going to all win together. Thank you so much.
And thank you to all of our friends and family for being here this evening. We love you. And Rabbi Schneider, thank you so much.
And I left out one thing. When we met, I stand between you and your dessert. When we did meet in Rabbi Schneider's synagogue, the JCRC, myself representing the Greek Orthodox, Carolyn Maloney, we created a hate fund. A fund that will go towards rewards for turning in those possible grave pusher-overs, because I consider it the headstones. I consider it almost like the broken windows policy at the police department. I want to thank tonight, representing the police department, Chief Detective Boyce, is it? Boyce, say hello. And what this means, if we create the reward, because if we don't get those people that are doing that, the next time, instead of pushing over a headstone, they're going to push somebody in front of a subway. So let's take care of it beforehand. Thank you.
So as we go to wrap up, just want to say, tell you what, fill you in on the details. At Carolyn Maloney's press conference, where she was denouncing all the terrible things that were happening, John got up and said, you know, we should establish a reward for people that do hate crimes, that do terrible things. And so he and I were talking about it. I said, John, it shouldn't just come from you. And he said, no, it should come from the entire community. So with the help of the New York City Police Foundation, they've agreed to establish a separate fund for rewards for people that just commit hate crimes. And we're going to ask, not just John, not just the Jewish community, but all the communities of New York to chip in and establish that fund just to address the issue of hate crimes. And it was John Katzmatidis' idea. So with that, before we finish off, I'd like to introduce the great leader of the Jewish Community Relations Council, the heart and soul of what we do, Rabbi Michael Miller.
Thank you very much, Charlie. If John thought that he was between you and dessert, me. So I'm just going to wrap up with a number of very, very well-deserved thank yous. First, to our outstanding and superb co-chairs of this evening, to Marissa Shorenstein and Brian Cohen. Give it up. And then to our magnificent honorees this evening, to John, Margot, Andrea, and John Jr. Katzmatidis, and the Red Apple Group, to Sal Malglietta and U.S. Bank, thank you. And last but not least, the Comptroller of the State of New York, Tom DiNapoli. I very, very sincerely want to thank the Development Committee of the JCRC, and most especially the members of the Board of Directors, those who are with us in the room tonight and those who are not able to join us. But the support that we receive from these amazing men and women is so meaningful to us and so important to JCRC being able to carry out its mission. So a thank you and a warm applause for the JCRC Board of Directors. For those who didn't notice, there are quite a number of elected officials who were with us during the cocktail hour. We thank them for coming to be with us this evening. And there is one group of individuals who are here who traveled the furthest, to arrive at the Pierre this evening. This past September, I was privileged to have been invited by the leadership of the Church of Latter-day Saints in Salt Lake City on just a superb mission to Israel. And we have a table here of our friends, 4 of whom flew in from Salt Lake City, the Taylors and the Clarks. And we really want to thank you for joining us and for building the partnership and the bridges that so many of the speakers spoke about. We're honored to build a bridge with the LDS community here in New York and around the country. Thank you. Finally, this is important. Finally, is to thank the people who really make the JCRC tick, and that's the JCRC staff. Everybody on our staff, so many, contributed not only to the work of the organization, but to expertly ensure that this evening would be as wonderful as it has been. Particularly our development team, Kathy Gersha and Grant Silverstein, a warm applause. And finally, as has been mentioned before by Sal, the person who really makes this event the amazing evening that it is, and that's Marcy Fishman, our Director of Special Projects. Thank you to Marcy. So we've had a wonderful evening this evening. We appreciate so much the partnerships that have been established between yourselves and our organization. We hope that they will continue. It's a bridge to somewhere, not a bridge to nowhere. And I'm going to now offer you a bridge out those doors into the foyer where we're going to have a wonderful dessert reception. Shalom to everybody. We look forward to seeing you again next year. Thank you very, very much.